highways and on-ramps over the previous year or two, and who had been tied up as well and left along on-ramps. A review of our FICAP database indicated over the previous 10 years there were approximately 600 young women that were found along the highways and who had died in a suspicious manner.
You know, that's just in one small area of the U.S. This was about Cleveland, I believe. The only reason why any of these even began to be solved was because one person's body got dumped in a very tiny town where nothing ever occurred, just some little tiny town in Pennsylvania where they refused to even call this young woman Jane Doe. They actually gave her the name Spring Dawn because she was found in the spring at dawn. And they really wanted to give a name and a face to her. And to think, you know, and her life was always horrible, and she was only 17. And she grew up in poverty, and there were just all sorts of problems. And when you just look at, you know, all of these huge amount of tragedies that we never talk about in this country, which is our own problems, we're sort of brainwashed into only thinking about really Muslim immigrants as the victims. And yet, what about all these poor young girls that are in poverty? They come from families in poverty. They're hanging out at truck stops for rides to try to get to bigger towns. And this particular story, of course, was as tragic as all of them. In this one, it was someone from a horrible family who actually had met a really young trucker, and they had actually been very in love, and he was very nice to her. And then she kind of got caught and sent back into a bad situation. And because they weren't able to reconnect, this was sort of before, you know, social media and the internet and everything. He ended up not eating himself, not feeding his dog. I think he died. He actually died, and then she died as well. So it also shows how the system can interfere with people who do find their own solutions, and they do find a way. And I think that they had been together for 3 months on the road and had been doing really well and saving money, and they were, you know, getting a really nice place somewhere. So the whole thing was just, you know, this woman was damned from the start, and she was, you know, she wasn't a Muslim immigrant. She didn't have anything or anyone in her corner. And we are going to be starting the refugee series next. I've been really kind of putting it off. Today I was just, you know, watching something in FBI, just kind of domestic, see what was going on domestically. And there are just huge numbers of all of these murdered girls that we don't hear about. You know, we hear about, you know, Rose McGowan, who wore a see-through dresses, you know, upset because Harvey Weinstein gave her $1 million and, you know, made her look at his bathrobe, when we've got really serious problems of girls who are living at truck stops, who are homeless, who are citizens of this country, who aren't getting $1 million. You know, bravery is not getting up and, you know, standing on a stage and screaming. That isn't risk-taking. Risk-taking is getting into a strange truck in the night with a trucker you don't know, who's probably going to kill you. And nobody cares. There's nowhere for you. And we're going to look at the gold mine that the refugee resettlement companies are. And they get all the money from the taxes. All the money. It's unbelievable. So that's what's coming up, everyone. Thank you. Have a nice day.